Yeah. My friend had a recording studio, and we were putting down some new ideas for sort of a half electronic, sort of half guitar band that we put together. I was laying down some instrumental guitar bits and some computer sort of keyboard bits. And I was trying. I basically missed the bus. I got home from work late, and there's a bus every half an hour, and I missed the bus, and I think it was already about 7:15 time. So I was worried I wouldn't get down there if I waited for the next bus. So that's when I decided to walk through the Lye Valley, which was a journey I'd done loads of times. I mean, I'd lived there in a place called Wood Farm for quite a few years by that time, since about sort of 1990, and I was a regular walking through there. And I'd even gone down there at night with my wife at the time. And although it was a bit creepy, it wasn't too bad, but I just never thought I'd experience what I experienced that night. It really scared me.
If I remember correctly, there isn't any real lighting down there, is there?
No. And the thing was, I could see sort of Cowley area where I was going to, and I could see that the sun was still out, and the tall buildings were catching the light. So I thought, okay, you get down this valley, it's about half an hour walk, and you get up onto the golf course, and then you can sort of see Cowley. So I thought, as long as I get onto the golf course, right up on the high ground again, it'd be quite light. But basically, at that time of the year, with it being autumn, the banks rose up either side, and it got very dark, and there's obviously no sunlight there. And it'd been a bit of a stormy day as well, so it was quite black in the sky.
I know this is a familiar area for you. You've walked it many times before. When did you realise something was different about that day?
Well, I was kind of taking quite a casual walk down there, and what happened was I kept hearing what sounded like somebody sort of walking to my left, perhaps about sort of 20 or 30 sort of yards to my left. And I didn't take any notice at first because I thought it was perhaps the acoustics of the valley. But then I kept hearing it, and I only heard it now and then. So what I did, I stopped to have a good listen, and I heard an extra couple of crunches, and then it went completely silent. And I thought, oh wow, that's a bit weird, isn't it? And I didn't think too much of it, so I carried on walking. And it was getting quite dark at this time, and I sped up a little bit because I was a bit unnerved. And I started to stop again, and again I heard an extra couple of footsteps. And I suddenly got a real kind of my ears went really crystal clear hearing. I started getting a real fast heartbeat. Didn't feel right. I felt like I was being watched. So what I did, I started kind of half jogging, and I didn't hear anything. So what I did this big jump in the air to give me half a second or a second in the air, so I could hear if there's any footsteps coming. And I heard a couple more footsteps, and I heard a crunch, and then I heard a real low, deep, guttural sort of dog-like growl. And it just went straight through me. My hair stood on, the back of my neck, the hair stood up, and I just felt this massive feeling of fear, like I was in danger. It was it might have been a monster. That's the first thing I thought was monster, because it was such a low sort of guttural growl, and it was almost like the intensity of a lion. You hear that real low sub sort of growl. And, part of my head was thinking, well, this is ridiculous, because, in between two housing estates, and there's obviously nothing down there that's going to harm me. We haven't got any bears in the country or any wolves. But then I heard another sort of growling sound, and I heard a couple more footsteps, and it was sort of in front of me on this parallel track. And but basically I didn't know what to do. I thought, well, I'm either going to have to do a 100-yard dash and get up onto the golf course, which meant passing this track where this thing was on. And it sounded slightly in front of me. And the other option was to turn right and run up a hill and then go into some really out-of-the-way wasteland beyond the hospital. So I just turned around and ran back. I did a massive dash for about half a mile, and I just ran and ran and ran. But it scared the life out of me. I basically managed to get on the bus. So I ran across the road, and the next bus came round, and I jumped straight onto the bus because they had a habit of coming round with the doors open. I jumped straight onto the bus, and all I managed to get out was Cowley, And he said, God, you look like you've seen a ghost, and I couldn't even talk. It was terrible, and I couldn't say anything. And the thing was, there is a part sort of above where there's it's almost like a basketball court or a sports court with really strong lights. And I could hear the crunching following me, and the lights were shining down, but I couldn't see anything. I couldn't see anything at all. And that made it even more weird because, perhaps I didn't really want to see what was following me, to be quite honest with you.
I've taken a lot of reports like yours, Nick, over the years of people who are walking in an area that they know really well, who suddenly overcome with the feeling that they are being watched. normally off to the side of them or behind. And in some cases, like yours, that creature, that being, begins to follow them and shadow them and keep up with them, even though you're on the easy walking path and they're having to go through brambles, bracken, down trees, dints in the soil, all manner of obstacles, and yet they keep up with you. And in some cases, make it out in front of you. And if that happens at dawn or dusk, that makes it even a scarier event because you can't see what's shadowing you, what's stalking you, what's hunting you out there.